Good afternoon and welcome to Match of the Day, in which you'll see if Liverpool continue to run away with the First Division Championship as they visit Luton Town. That's some match, I can tell you. And then the Queen's Park Rangers Oldham game might provide a clue as to whether the First Division club should prepare themselves to play next season on Loftus Road's artificial surface. Finally, we announce the result of the best ever and most difficult Goal of the Month competition.
Today's news: Football League President Jack Dennett comes under fire from Derby County, and John Benson could be appointed Manchester City manager for the rest of the season. Also, 3 league games today. This morning, Portsmouth won 2-0 at Millwall to go into 3rd place in Division 3. And the latest score in 2 matches this afternoon: Division 1, Swansea 1, Watford 0, Bob Latchford getting his 200th league goal there. And Division 3, Newport 0, Brentford 0. The results of those games later in the programme.
Well, some viewers write to ask us why Liverpool are on Match of the Day so often. The answer's simple. In 4 competitions still, they're without doubt the outstanding team in the country. Yesterday, they were confronted by the attacking skills of Luton Town. On the face of it, a most attractive fixture, and that's the way it turned out. Your commentator is John Watson.
This match brings together the 2 high-scoring teams in the First Division, with over 100 league goals between them this season. Liverpool with 60 and Luton with 46. Brian Steen has been credited with 14 of those in 18 appearances, including 2 goals against Liverpool when Luton drew 3-3 there in September. And they have the same 12 players on duty today as they did at Anfield, an afternoon when Luton used 3 goalkeepers. Kirk Stevens and Mal Donaghy each had a spell between the posts after Jake Findlay had sustained a rib injury. Liverpool are unchanged, looking for their 8th consecutive victory since the turn of the year. Ronnie Whelan is substitute. He's scored in a memorial match at Blackpool on Tuesday, and also this week Phil Thompson had a reserve match on his way back to full fitness. Bob Paisley will need his full squad as Liverpool mount an assault on 4 trophies. He's just been named Manager of the Month for the 20th time. The referee is Brian Hill from Kettering. So Liverpool, who've only lost 1 of their last 22 games, that was at Norwich at the beginning of December, playing from right to left here. Luton in the white. Steen. That was Richard Money, a former Liverpool player, and an offside. Richard Money, who joined Luton from Liverpool after a spell on loan initially. His most memorable match for Liverpool was a European Cup semi-final in Munich. That was Goodyear. And then it was Lawrenson. Bright sunshine at Kenilworth Road at the start of the match. Hodgson. Phil Neal trying to jab it into Souness. And it put Luton in possession, and Brian Horton wide to Kirk Stevens. David Moss, who's been given licence to roam this afternoon, is on the right, and there are 2 in the centre waiting for the cross, and Walsh is coming in, and he was just about stopped by Lawrenson before Grobbelaar pounced. That was a good move by Luton. It was swift and incisive, and David Moss, told by David Pleat to wander a bit to try and unsettle Liverpool, got the cross in from the right. Lawrenson was on hand to deflect Walsh. Stevens. Offside flag was up again. Referee this time acknowledges his linesman, but play can go on. Johnston. Money. Dalglish. Oh, it found Rush in the end, but had it gone through the first time without the deflection, it would have been a superb ball by Dalglish. That was Hansen. And Lee. Goodyear. Regular centre-half in the absence of the injured Saxby, who's been out over a year but is now back in Luton's reserve team. And the foul throw gives Luton possession. And there's a dog on the pitch, which should amuse Bruce Grobbelaar, who always enjoys a slight diversion. It came on at his end. Well, he's determined to play outside right, but Luton already have one winger in David Moss, so I doubt whether they'll use him as well. So play resumes. Awkward ball for Stevens, he lost sight of it, and Rush not making the most of the chance. Kirk Stevens confused there as to where the ball was, and by the time he turned, Rush was getting his shot in. Souness. Lee now. And again Phil Neal joins the attack. And again it doesn't quite run for him. And Kennedy, the other fullback, is up. And he won it, in fact. And a chance for Rush, who's now missed 2 in a minute. But the significance of that Liverpool move was that both fullbacks played a part deep in the Luton half. Alan Kennedy was the man who ultimately won the ball in a position where Luton should never give it away, and Ian Rush hurriedly shot wide. Walsh. Stevens. Good run. Steen in the middle. Here's Steen. Should have done better. But after a long layoff, Brian Steen maybe not as match sharp as he was earlier in the season. How well Kirk Stevens got down the right there. The cross that came in left Steen with time to tee things up. But the shot, for a man who's scored 15 goals this season, not up to scratch. Hill. And it's run on for Walsh. And here comes Hill. And Steen! It's there! Brian Steen! And Kenilworth Road celebrates as Luton take the lead. Only a minute or two after Steen missed a chance, he scores. Paul Walsh had the first effort. It was blocked by Grobbelaar. Ricky Hill came in to strike the rebound. It screwed across, almost hit Steen, but he managed to direct it into the net. So, Steen, who scored twice at Liverpool back in September, gets his 16th goal in all competitions this season to put Luton ahead here. And the match deserved a goal, because until then, here's Rush. Appeals for handball, still Rush. It's there! And Liverpool have equalised, but Luton feel there was a handball. Brian Horton is convinced there was a handball there, but neither linesman nor referee want to know. Liverpool equalised straight from the kickoff, but did he handle? Stevens and Horton are still arguing with the linesman. But Ian Rush was allowed to go on and shoot past Findlay. He scores his 26th goal of the season, so the two top scorers here have found the back of the net in the space of what? Less than a minute. 1-1. Well, I was saying the match deserved a goal, it's now got 2. It was fast and furious even before then, but now we've had something to enthuse about, which should make a platform for a cracking match. It lies ahead. Here's Dalglish. Rush. Dalglish. Dalglish hits the post. It's going to come out to Sammy Lee. And Souness. And all that happened while the Luton captain Brian Horton had his boot off and was completely out of the action. Horton at the moment, a disgusted man. He feels that the Liverpool goal should not have been allowed. He's protesting to the referee that play should have been stopped for him to get his boot back on, and his side only held the lead for a minute. Even so, it could have been worse, because Dalglish in the last attack struck the post with Findlay beaten. Horton missed it on the bounce. Dalglish on to Rush. Offside, is he? Apparently not. Liverpool supporting now with Sammy Lee. And Souness. Ricky Hill intervening, then Horton. And now Hill. Only as far as Johnston. Good tackle, was it, by Goodyear? The referee was only a yard away, he should know. Johnston, in fact, has gone down. But Brian Hill saw nothing amiss in the challenge. So keen to keep his place, Johnston, with Ronnie Whelan waiting on the bench. Offside. Dalglish. Hodgson. Here's Lee. Good block by Money. Can almost feel that challenge up here. Souness. Hodgson. And it's Neil. Souness will let that run. Alan Kennedy. It's in. 2-1 to Liverpool. Both fullbacks again in the attack, as they were earlier in the half, and this time it pays off. But what a good dummy by Graham Souness. The way he allowed that ball to run on and find Alan Kennedy. The shot down to the left of Jake Findlay, well, he couldn't keep it out. And it goes in the corner to put Liverpool in front. So Luton, from being a goal ahead, find themselves a goal behind in the last minute of the first half. And here's Stevens. Money. Souness. Souness again, and it's so typical of Liverpool, isn't it, that from being in retreat one moment, they're now so much in advance. Kennedy, and look at Sammy Lee there finding room as Luton lose their shape rather towards the end of the first half. Lee into Rush, goal kick. Liverpool this time, it's their turn to appeal. They thought it was a corner. Stevens. Steen's got Moss outside him. Hill and Walsh are waiting in the centre. So to his Turner now. Still Moss. Stevens coming short. Here's Steen. Lifts it in. Ricky Hill. Good stop by Grobbelaar. It still isn't away. Moss. And Grobbelaar again. But Ricky Hill will look back on that opportunity and think he should have scored. It was a point-blank header, although the goalkeeper did well, surely the ball should have been placed wide of him. Moss. Well, a first half packed with talking points. Brian Steen put Luton Town in front. Within a minute, Ian Rush equalised for Liverpool with a disputed goal because Luton felt he handled. And then in the last minute of the first half, Alan Kennedy put Liverpool ahead and Bruce Grobbelaar kept out Ricky Hill's header. But the officials were in accord. They felt the Liverpool goal was justified. And the half-time score, Luton Town 1, Liverpool 2. For Liverpool at the beginning of the second half because Craig Johnson has not recovered from the knock he received in that first half challenge with Clive Goodyear. So Luton, who made something of a speciality of coming from behind earlier in the season, now have to do that against a side who've played 25 First Division matches and lost only 3. Those 3 defeats of Liverpool's coming at Norwich, at Ipswich and at West Ham. Looks for Steen. Lawrenson, the player covering. Alan Hansen finding time to get forward. Dalglish, sure he shook off Horton there. And Finlay getting down to his right to make a tidy save. But Dalglish only needs half a yard. Offside. It's a foul by Donaghy. With 5 minutes gone in the second half. This is Souness. Good effort. Oh, he's hit the bar. Hodgson underneath it. Still not away by Luton. Here comes Lee. That's a good ball by Money, and Moss is in here. Grobbelaar right out. Dalglish takes over and needed to win that, with Grobbelaar still having a long way to get back. Tremendous shot from Graham Souness, beating Finlay and coming back off the Luton crossbar. It does seem at the moment that Liverpool are in a run where confidence is sky high and where nobody seems capable of stopping them. Souness. No rush. It's Moss. Money. There he is again. Steen waiting on the far side of the penalty area. This is Horton, supported by Donaghy. He tried to find Steen, but Luton's passing let them down there. And Liverpool's played off. Superb play. Souness, Hodgson and now Rush. And Ian Rush could so easily have had 4. Tremendous move. A poor pass for Luton by Brian Horton. An excellent pass for Liverpool by Graham Souness. Hodgson on to Rush through the centre. The shot just wide. But Rush is getting into so many good positions that you can see why he's going to finish the season with well over 30 goals. Turner. And there goes Steen. That was a fine ball, and Steen is in here, and he's lobbed the goalkeeper, who got back brilliantly. Steen was through. He did the right thing, tried to lob Grobbelaar, who was off his line, but how athletic of the goalkeeper to get back from that position and turn it over. Corner to Luton. Donaghy was at the back, so was Stevens. Off Dalglish, corner again. Back in again by Moss. Here's Horton. Gone. Luton 2-1 down. Here's Stevens. Broken up so comfortably by Alan Kennedy, and he now continues his run to support Dalglish. Whelan is also forward, and so inevitably is Rush. Dalglish instead loses the place for once. It just goes to show everybody's human. Liverpool were rather square, and Money was the extra man. Good challenge by Souness. And look where Dalglish is. That was fine football in their own penalty area by Liverpool. And look how they've turned it into a menacing attack. Rush to Hodgson. And Finlay saves, Rush puts it wide. Well, just going back a few seconds there was Kenny Dalglish back in his own penalty area, squaring the ball to Hansen. It looked tricky for Liverpool, out it went to Souness, and suddenly they're on the attack again. And a substitution by Luton. Radian Tish, regarded now by his manager as a better player when he comes on as a substitute than sometimes when he starts. He replaces Richard Money, the former Liverpool player, who goes off. So are Luton going to manage now with three at the back? That would appear to be the pattern. It's a risk they've got to take. Antish is a midfield player who can sometimes change the game, very skillful. Turner again. Horton in a forward position. Here's Steen. Tries to find Walsh, but those long legs of Alan Hansen snaking out, and look at the run from his own half deep into Luton territory to find Hodgson. Rush is in the penalty area, so is Dalglish, and Hansen is still in support. Now Whelan has got forward on the far side as well. Neil forward for Rush. But the movement off the ball, one of the great qualities of Liverpool teams down the years. They make life so much easier for each other than many other teams. And Hansen there was the instigator of the move from the back. Souness. And again Souness! What a goal! The Liverpool captain comprehensively puts the points beyond Luton now. A very good 1-2 here between Souness and David Hodgson, who laid the ball back into the stride of Souness, and that was a lovely strike. Away from Finlay, with 10 minutes to go, 3-1, and surely in Liverpool terms that has to be a winning lead, unless Luton can repeat what happened at Anfield and force a 3-3 draw. It would appear that Souness, who also scored in that first meeting, remember, has had the final say today. Alan Kennedy is in support here. Hodgson's in the centre. And the ball going all the way across the 6-yard box. Lee. Dalglish. And a reminder that Liverpool always play to full potential up to the 90th minute. And their fans beginning to sing them home again. Moss in early for Walsh. Now can he turn Hansen? He did, and it's still Walsh. Brilliant run, and a fine save as he tried to box the goalkeeper at the near post. Paul Walsh jinked his way past Hansen and got away from Lawrenson as well. They were both there, but Grobbelaar stopped him. And it's a corner to Luton. Donaghy comes in at the back. Dalglish. And still, the champions march on unhindered. Liverpool make it 8 wins in a row in League and Cup, a 100% record in 1983. And frankly, once they got in front, apart from one moment when Grobbelaar saved from Steen, there was never much doubt where the points were going. Liverpool, indeed, at the moment, seem unstoppable. They're going for 4 trophies, and they've only lost 1 match in the last 23. Winners today at Kenilworth Road by 3 goals to 1.
A brave try by Luton, especially in the first half, but there was little doubt, finally, about Liverpool's superiority. Luton manager David Pleat was realistic and most complimentary when he discussed their strengths with John Motson after the game.
Well, if you really look on in a mathematical sense, I wouldn't have thought anyone could stop them in the league, because really, in effect, the team that's second or third have got to win about 4 consecutive games. They've got to lose about 4 consecutive games at this time now. There's already 25, 26 games gone. So it would be very difficult for anyone to be so super confident. I mean, they're all so comfortable in possession of the ball. It means that wherever the ball is, they can expect to build up attacks. Just a very, very efficient side, but you shouldn't underrate the individual ability of any player. It's very, very good.
And going for 4 trophies, I mean, the sheer mental effect of that in the past has deprived teams, hasn't it? I mean, it's difficult to win 2, never mind 4. I mean, could they carry off the Grand Slam?
They've got to have the breaks. I think it's possible. I think winning is the greatest stimulant of all. They just keep winning. It's a tremendously good habit, and you know, obviously, they won the cup ties. They could lose if the breaks go against them, or if they get a bad decision where someone's kept it very tight for 90 minutes and all of a sudden something happens. But generally speaking, I mean, you've got to fancy them. It's going to be hard for them to win 4 trophies. They haven't really got the depth that they've had in previous years.
No, in terms of the number of players in the squad, you mean?
Yes, I think it's a little bit... they've had stronger reserve sides in previous years.
Yeah, I think that's a point that's worth bearing in mind, because that's going to come to the fore when they get 1 or 2 injuries, when it reaches the peak of the season.
Yes, I mean, I think so. At the moment, their team picks itself week in, week out. Now, there's just maybe some doubt, Whelan or Johnston on the left side. But generally speaking, if they're all fit, that's the side. They've still got Thompson to come in, of course. But the way the central defenders played today, I thought they looked like mountains to us. We looked like boys at times against them. No disrespect to our lads, but they're really formidable defenders.
Most interesting. But in the first half, the result was nowhere near as clear-cut as it turned out. Luton had a plan to beat Liverpool, and it caused them problems. They tried to put the back 4 out of the game with lobbed and chipped through passes to hard-running front men. This is just one in the first half here, coming up from Kirk Stevens, and you'll see how even Liverpool can be put in some trouble. He whacks it straight over the top of the back 4, and a well-timed run by Paul Walsh for the moment left them stranded, but they did recover from that. They were a little unlucky because with Liverpool's equaliser, they're asking afterwards, was it handball? No blame to the referee, because you'll see from this unusual camera angle here that the referee couldn't see it. But in my mind, I think you'll agree that Rush did control the ball with his hand as he was challenged. You can see it here, it's high. There's only one thing stopping the ball continuing going to the left, and that is the hand, but you'll just see the referee behind those players with no chance really of seeing that, and maybe even the linesman is screened by Kirk Stevens. There's the ball going back the other way, and that enabled Liverpool to draw level. And then it was Luton's turn when they might have done so, and Grobbelaar, who many people laughed at as a goalkeeper early on, really had a splendid match yesterday, and this was the save of the match for me. The one in the second half looked spectacular, but this, for a big man, showed extraordinary athleticism, getting down to the right to that most awkward spot and keeping that ball out of the net. But after that, it was Liverpool. They are a different team. They don't cross when other people do. They seem to want to play the ball and pass it and look for space at all times. Now, the space from this move is not on that far side of the field. It eventually turns out to be on the near side. And look how they wriggle out of this, what might be a dead situation for some clubs. They go back along the line to Sammy Lee. Hodgson on the ball there. One touch and it's flicked back again to another supporting man, Phil Neal. Coming across the field now looking for that space. He sees Souness in the middle, lays it square to him. A remarkable dummy by a man who was inspirational in the team. Kennedy's on it now, and if we stop it for a moment, you can see there's even another spare man, Johnston, to the left of him. But he's got so much space, he can finish it from there with a bobbly sort of shot which left Jake Findlay unsighted there. And if you talk about directness, Watford are not the only direct team in the First Division. Again, we see the inspiration of Souness making that tackle and the coolness and the skill which is there if they need to call on it. They're quite under control here, laying it about and passing it in their own penalty area. Souness gets it again, and how about this for direct play? Up to Lee, straight forward again. Rush turns inside, doesn't hold it, pushes it onto Hodgson, as straight as you can go, and Jake Findlay in the end just managed to stop them converting that one. Well, some team. Ability and method apart, Liverpool won because they assessed the ground too, realised it wasn't quite Wembley, and decided to hump it when in doubt. And to win the championship, a team has to function well under any conditions, in any weather, over 9 months. Liverpool do know their business.
The problems at Derby County seem interminable. Following the rejection on Monday by the Football League's three-man committee of Derby's appeal against a £10,000 fine for poaching team manager Roy McFarland, the following statement was issued today by Derby chairman Mike Watterson. We at Derby are very concerned that Jack Dunnett, the Football League president, who has played a more than active role in the prosecution of our club in this unhappy affair and who gave advice to Bradford City regarding the amount of compensation to ask for, some £200,000, should apparently appoint himself as chairman of the committee which meet to discuss Bradford City's compensation claim. Strong words which drew this reaction from the Football League secretary Graham Kelly after consultation with Mr Dunnett. Firstly, the Football League have not received any formal complaint from Derby. Second, the league president did not advise Bradford City on the amount of compensation to seek. 3, nevertheless, if any proper objection is lodged against Jack Dunnett as chairman of the committee, he will not sit. Well, since John Bond's resignation as Manchester City manager, several names have been put forward as his successor, including John Toshak, Emlyn Hughes, Don Howe and Jimmy Frizzle. But we understand that City chairman Peter Swales is almost certain to offer the job to Bond's assistant John Benson until the end of the season, an appointment which could be confirmed at a board meeting tomorrow. Meanwhile, Seattle Sounders president John Best told me this afternoon that although his club are looking for a new manager and would possibly consider John Bond as a candidate, his priority on this trip to England was to finalise details with Nottingham Forest over the permanent transfer of Peter Ward, currently on loan to Brighton. Mr Best also confirmed Seattle's interest in signing one of England's keepers, Joe Corrigan, who is also club captain at Manchester City. More news after our next game.
Queen's Park Rangers are one of 3 teams who appear to be running away with the second division promotion race. There's a posse of half a dozen or more clubs desperate to close a 9-point gap, and it was the chance of one of them, Oldham, to do that yesterday at Loftus Road at Queen's Park Rangers' expense. Let's see what happened. Your commentator, Barry Davis.
Here's the man believing in third time lucky. Steve Wicks broke an ankle as the season started, and then in his comeback game in November was carried off after 47 minutes in need of a cartilage operation. He's back in the side today in the absence of the suspended Bob Hazel. And it's the Rangers side which has won 50 matches this season, 8 of them here and 7 away from home. Kenny Clements, the record buy for Oldham Athletic, is now their skipper and one of 3 former Manchester City players in their lineup. The other 2 being number 4, Jed Keegan, and number 11, Roger Palmer. It's a side which welcomes back after suspension number 3, John Ryan, and number 10, John Bowden, but loses Roger Wilde for the same reason. The referee is Brian Daniels of Brentwood in Essex. Last season, Oldham became the first side to prevent Queen's Park Rangers scoring on their own carpet, and they have a record of a number of draws this season. But really, with the gap developing between the top 3 and the rest, Oldham in 5th place need to win this sort of fixture. Gary Waddock, the best of passes he'll make this afternoon, surely. Watching the bounce with care. Clearance by Neil. Ryan. Wrestled out a bit by Micklewhite. Here's Clive Allen. Got a position on the right for the shot of Clements. Neil has come forward. Gregory and Flanagan waiting in the middle. And no early tests for the young goalkeeper. Andy Gorham, who's 18 years old. Seeley, nice touch. Flanagan. And the referee's arm aloft for an indirect free kick to Queen's Park Rangers. Waddock on the ball. So Daniels sending the tide back. Allen, oh, hit the post. And it really shook the foundations of the goal. Lovely strike by Clive Allen. Keegan. McDonough with the run and gets there. He's got Taylor behind. And the free kick against Wicks. Every Oldham player has gone far side from the kicker. Now Palmer comes across. McDonough at the back. And Wicks concedes the corner. Oldham's first corner. Over to Curl. Oh, and they allowed Palmer to get the head up. Enough big men there. Hacker stayed at home. And Palmer was able to meet it but not keep it down. Micklewhite. Neil. Seeley. Well, left by Allen in the first place. And look at that for a bounce. Got the deflection, took it soaring over the bar, and it's a corner. And the trio to come from much further back. Seedy joins them. They've only got one player really anywhere near the goal. Seedy leads the charge. Fenwick comes behind and gets the header, and is wide. It's quite an interesting tactic by Rangers. They left just one player with an obvious threat to the goal, which was Allen. And the others came running behind. Hulikin. Seedy disappointed with the verdict. It did become a bit of a wrestling match. But I'm not sure that Hulikin was well advised with his attempt to take on Seedy there. Allen. Flanagan. Allen is underneath it, so was Ryan. Gregory, Allen, Gregory. was a good snapshot by John Gregory, the man whose goal divided the teams up at Boundary Park. Rangers won 1-0. Bit of an elbow. Here's Palmer, if he could turn smartly. He needed to turn, pivoting on his left foot, and never wanted to. Keegan. He was onside, of course, but others were offside. And I think he feels that the others were not interfering with play. But the only action really that is memorable from the first half was the shot by Clive Allen, which all but uprooted the far post. I'm afraid it's been much ado about nothing. Oldham Athletic have been involved in no fewer than 13 draws this season, but only one of them was of the no-score variety. Dawes. Clements. Rangers beaten at home twice and held altogether 3 times on one occasion in the Football League Cup. Keegan. It was intended as a back pass, and it was, but didn't go to the goalkeeper. Ruddock. Flanagan. Allen, good save. He's got to get up for the bounce. Micklewhite. That's the first time really, well, certainly in this half, that we've seen a goalkeeper cavorted across his goal. He had to do it once in the first half. Generally, there haven't been many saves. Bit of pushing. Splats all round here. Oh, he did well. It's Atkinson. Oh, he's done very well. Wicks, who got out the cross ball. Seeley. Allen in the middle, Flanagan coming up as well. Sinclair's head up. And the wind seems to have rather swung round. It's stronger than before, and it's blowing into Andy Goram's face. On the far post, but he's hit it pretty strongly. Fenwick made it, Seeley, and Tony Seeley breaks the deadlock from right in front of the goalkeeper's nose. Taken short, knocked long across the goal, headed back by Fenwick, and in by Tony Seeley, standing almost on the goalkeeper's toes. Seeley's 7th goal of the season, putting Rangers on their way to their 9th win here. Atkinson. Neil. Palmer. Well, he's done well. Oh, but sadly McDonough for Oldham was unable to do likewise. Surprised at the ball coming to him because it got the deflection, which suddenly changed its course completely. He was right in front of goal with everything to look at, and he missed. there because Alan was poised behind to rifle the left foot. Gorham missed it completely. Clearance was by Keegan from the header by Seeley. It's the first mistake that Gorham has made, and he was rescued by the man now on the far post, Jed Keegan, the skipper. Micah White, seeing what the instep can do. No, that's not a bad try. I suspect this is the first time since he became a manager that Joe Rod is not entirely unhappy that he's not playing. Taylor, haven't seen a run from him in this half. Billiken, and pick any one of 6 for the offside decision. Waddock comes to McDonough. Farmer, who had one chance in the first half. Crowd encouraging Mr. Daniels to blow his whistle. He has a quick check that his watch is still ticking, takes out another watch from his pocket. He's got a signal from both linesmen. Whistle is poised, blows, and Rangers have another 3 points. The only goal of the match scored by Tony Seeley, a header down that beat Andy Gorham from very close range. The second half was better than the first.
And that win takes Rangers to within a point of second division leaders Wolves, who lost 2-1 at Barnsley. Both Arsenal and Leeds have problems before tomorrow's FA Cup 4th round second replay at Highbury. Already without Alan Sunderland, Arsenal are keeping their fingers crossed that Tony Woodcock, sent home with flu symptoms before yesterday's game against Brighton, feels fit enough to play. For Leeds, Kenny Burns, although he'll travel, has only an outside chance of playing, so the one change is likely to be John Sheridan, now clear of suspension, replacing Kevin Hurd in midfield. Tottenham Hotspur are worried that Osvaldo Ardiles may have a stress fracture of the left leg. The Argentine international was injured during the 2-2 draw at Manchester City yesterday and has since been in some considerable pain and unable to bear weight on the injury. An X-ray tomorrow at a North London hospital will confirm or end Spurs' fears. Finally, confirmation today from Coventry City that they have received an offer for their England under-21 international Gary Thompson from West Bromwich Albion. The offer, in excess of the £175,000 quoted, has been turned down. Now the goal action from the big game in Scotland's Premier Division yesterday. Third place Dundee United against leaders Celtic at Tannadice. Celtic are in the hoop shirts. Your commentator Archie McPherson look for Charlie Nicholas.
Next day, who scored a brilliant goal last time here. Oh, he's turned in. It must be Nicholas, the cheekiest of goals. 1-0. Celtic, of course, will have the wind in the second half. There was hesitation there. Set up and under. Watch the bounce, and he gets a touch and he scored. David Dodge has appealed for a penalty kick, and I think what has been given, I think the referee has awarded a penalty kick. It looked like hands to me. Virtually, just under 2 minutes of the first half remaining. Eamon Bannon. Oh, brilliant save!
Well, it's now 3 months since second division Charlton Athletic embarked on perhaps the most ambitious football gamble of the season, splashing £250,000 to sign the Danish international Alan Simonsen from the Spanish giants Barcelona. Simonson's first appearance in a Charlton shirt more than doubled their average attendance to 10,800. Tony Gubber reports.
Looking like a little boy who sneaked into a man's team, Alan Simonson poses for pictures with local cubs. The diminutive Dane was bought, like another Scandinavian product, to refresh parts of the valley that others haven't reached. But here's the size of the task. On his 12th appearance in a Charlton shirt, barely 1,000 spectators on an East Terrace that once held 30,000. This was the 40s when Charlton were a giant of English football, reaching the cup final 4 times in 5 years, winning twice. Today, Charlton's ambition is more lowly, more desperate, to avoid relegation from Division 2. Simonson's touch and talent are immediately evident, but in such journeyman football company, there's always a danger that one star will shine alone. Only 4,500 spectators, the second lowest gate of the season, were attracted by the visit of Cambridge and the opportunity to see Simonson, who scored 6 goals in his first 11 games and who was voted the European Footballer of the Year in 1977 after Beckenbauer, before Keegan. Only 9 months ago, Simonson was performing to bigger theatre, in front of 100,000 spectators at the European Cup Winners' Cup final, scoring the opening goal in Barcelona's 2-1 defeat of Standard Liège. Simonson's protracted transfer to Charlton last November was a triumph of personal ambition for chairman Mark Hullier on the left. £250,000 was the fee, but the wages remain undisclosed.
It's a larger financial gamble now than it was anticipated to be at the time because of the lack of response from the supporters. We have a fabulous hardcore of about 6,000. I was very disappointed, for example, after the Ipswich game to see 17,000 here, of which at least 12,000 were Charlton supporters, and we lost 6,000 in 1 week after playing what I considered to be tremendous football. Many people said that that was one of the best games of football that they'd seen at the Valley for many, many years.
Yesterday's opening goal was scored by the Cambridge number 7, Les Cartwright. A cruel reminder to Charlton and their chairman, Mark Hullier, that they need success to pay Alan Simonson's wages.
Well, I wouldn't ever discuss Simonson's personal contract in any shape or form, quite frankly.
But on the face of it, 5,500 wouldn't seem to be enough.
5,500 probably wouldn't pay the groundsman's salary either.
Simonson was given the opportunity to earn his wages yesterday by a harsh handball decision that helped cost Cambridge their first away win for 14 months. From the penalty spot, Simonson scored his 7th goal in 12 games. And Charlton's resurrection was completed in the dying minutes, when a cross from Carl Harris was headed in by the unmarked Derek Hales. The 2-1 win lifted Charlton 4 places up the table and eased the worries of manager Lenny Lawrence.
Is there any problem for you with other players, perhaps having to G them up a bit more because they might expect to stand still and watch Simonson win the match for them?
I think that initially there might be envy and jealousy because he is the superstar and all the media attention is focused around him and they forget there's 10 others in the team. But I've reminded everybody concerned with this club that you can't do anything unless you are a winning team. Alan Simonson, if you like, is the icing on the cake. But if the cake's not right, then you've got a problem.
I think Charlton have taken quite a big financial gamble to sign somebody like yourself in the hope of success. How do you feel about that responsibility?
Oh, I don't think I must have a responsibility. I think it is the club who has to decide who they want to buy, and I only have to make it so good I can as possible on the ground with our players, and the other thing is not my thing.
Your problem?
Not my problem, yeah.
Do you look around at the Valley when you go out? Today there were only 4,500 people.
Yeah, I think it must be very disappointing for the club and for the players also, and I hope that we can play better in the future, get some more points, and then I'm sure that the crowd will come back, or there will come more crowd. Of course, when you are in the bottom of the league, it is very difficult for the crowd also to come here and see when Charlton is losing and losing.
But you've not regretted your decision?
No, until now not.
Simonsen has a clear perspective of his responsibilities. But how long can Charlton afford to keep him, with the crowds still melting away?
From a financial point of view, we're like any other club, that we will carry on and struggle on it as best we can. But it's the supporters who really force decisions on the directors. This is something I've recognised since I've been chairman, that the chairman and directors don't want to sell their best players. But if supporters don't come in through the turnstiles, you don't have the revenue there, and therefore you're forced to sell assets just to keep afloat.
Might you be forced to sell Alan Simonsen?
After the struggle of getting him, I would not like to consider having to sell Alan Simonsen in any shape or form.
But might that be forced upon you?
I don't think so.
Well, now for the result of January's Goal of the Month competition, which was undoubtedly the best ever. Looking at your postcards, each one of the 8 goals was somebody's favourite, and the 1, 2, 3 combinations were varied, to say the least. Most of you selected Steve Coppell's goal as the best, as did our panel. They followed that with goals E and C, with the winning order of A, E, C, was sent in by Mark Sindel of Belgrave Road, Cambridge. And £100 of the premium bonds is on its way to you with our congratulations, Mark. Now, in view of the very high standard of the goals this month, we thought you might like a summary of the panel's reasons for their choice. In third place, Charlie Nicholas's goal demonstrates his stop-start dribbling ability to the full. Root your opponent to the spot and then leave him for dead is how it's done. And it finally gives Charlie the space for quite a powerful left foot shot. Might have finished higher if there wasn't a suspicion among the panel that the final shot, good as it was, might have been saved. Second, coming up, Tony Morley's accurate cross that gave Mark Waters the chance to demonstrate his so precise right foot control, and then his very special turning trick with his right foot. A second feint drags the keeper to the near post, and Mark's left foot shot was placed to be untouchable. This goal was judged number 1 because it had a bit of everything. The movement was started by Remy Moses just in his own half. Norman Whiteside here provided an elegant turn to shrug off his opponent, laid the ball early into space for Frank Stapleton to read, 2 minds working very well together, and Frank's layback was simple but perfect to encourage Steve Coppell to strike an unstoppable left foot shot from an unfavourable angle and some distance, a veritable net buster. Well, I would just like to remind you that on BBC 2 at 8:15 tonight, Bobby Charlton, perhaps the most successful English international of all time, is featured in the series Maestro. As it turns out, 25 years to the day from the Manchester United Munich tragedy. A programme not to be missed. 2 results to finish this busy programme: Swansea 1, Watford 3, Blissett 2 and Barnes 1 with the scores for Watford, Newport 0, Brentford 0, 7 names taken there. See you next week. A little later it is then at 4:25. Good afternoon.